What's up, guys? It's Will from Social Hero, and welcome to the first episode of Zero to Hero. I am joined by three of our team. To the left of me, I have...
You already know, Terrell Kerr Douglas, content creation.
And then we have...
Brandy. I do all of the graphic design and some social media.
And Ryan, but I mainly just do the creative behind the content design, so...
Ryan does a lot of everything. So in our first podcast, I guess we should really kind of explain to people who we are. And maybe... I mean, 'cause some people might already know what we do here. Yep. But I think we'll actually learn a lot about each other, too, if we talk about a lot of, behind the scenes stuff about us in our lives. Because, I mean, we come to work every single day and we get to know each other, but we don't really know too much. And I think this podcast will be a good way to kind of express that to each other, and also at the same time give all of our listeners something valuable. And we're going to try to keep this like a very lighthearted podcast. We don't really have too many things in depth yet for what we want to do. I know we definitely want to get some guests on here in the future and bring a lot of cool people that can provide value to all the people who listen. But we don't want to take it too seriously. We don't want to make this too businessy or too casual. We just want to let things flow. So for the very first podcast, we actually made up a list of some topics we could talk about, because I think we kind of need to get things started. As with all first podcasts, it can be a little weird in the beginning. But first topic is, today is Friday the 13th, and it is a full moon. So I don't know if you guys are superstitious or not. What are your thoughts on this, Brandy?
Terrell, are you superstitious? I want to know, because you are just so spooky all the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty superstitious. But today so far has been a good day.
Better touch wood on that one.
Sorry?
Better knock on wood there.
Yeah.
Buddy.
So far, that's
So
why.
what kind of superstitions do you have?
Superstitions? I do believe that, of course, everything happens for a reason, type of thing. I don't know if we can branch off of that.
I believe in that too.
Fate.
Yeah.
The divine purpose.
A lot of like the butterfly effect. I'm really into that shit.
Yeah. What do you think, Ryan?
I just don't think because of a day that it'll change the outcome of your day. If your luck is not meant to be, it's just not meant to be regardless of the day.
Regardless of the day. Full moons. Oh, have you guys heard about full moons and how it affects like the blood in your brain?
Really?
It doesn't surprise me. I've heard crazy stuff about full moons. Like, I have a couple of paramedic friends that say every full moon is the busiest night for them.
Yeah, exactly. Because my dad works in the hospital too, and he says whenever it's a full moon, that's when it gets the craziest.
Yeah.
And the belief is because the gravity from the moon pulls the blood like in your head around, and it makes people act crazy. I don't know.
I do notice that my animals are all more crazy too. My cat goes nuts on full moons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts, Ryan?
I don't know. I'll have to pass on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yo, last night was a PowerPoint, that full moon.
Superstitions though. Have you guys ever heard of throwing keys?
No.
No.
It's bad luck, apparently.
Like, if you accidentally throw your keys?
No, like you throwing keys to other people's bad luck, because it's
I do it for
Yeah.
fun. Like, it's fun.
like throwing it to other people. No, one thing I know too, my mom scared me with this all the time, was that if you gift somebody shoes, like your partner, that you're telling them to go away.
What?
I did that once.
Oh my god. Yesterday, I put on my favorite Chuck Taylors, and when I got to work, I noticed there was paint all over the side of them.
Mm-hmm.
My husband painted and did not move my shoes in the process, and now he owes me a new pair of shoes.
So he's gonna have to buy you shoes.
Yeah, now he's gonna have to buy me shoes.
I was telling you to go away.
Maybe. He set it up.
That was one superstition my mom always gave me. Okay.
The ladder thing, even though I don't really believe in it, I still won't walk under a ladder.
Yeah.
That's just bad luck.
That's like an umbrella too.
But I mean, the key throwing thing, you and I are both screwed because we both threw our keys at each other today.
It's like,
yeah.
You're like Odell with the freaking thing.
How did the ladder thing start though?
I don't know. It's
How's
just,
that bad luck?
I don't know. It
Apparently
is
it's
a
just
superstition.
bad
Though.
luck.
You could probably find it if you look it up.
Or crossing where a black cat crosses.
At my old house, that happened
Yeah.
like every other day. I swear. I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go.
My mom was always really superstitious about umbrellas being opened in the house too. You could never open an umbrella in the house. It was bad luck.
Yeah, that umbrella one I've done a few times when I was a kid, and then I got in trouble for it too. So.
And then did you have bad luck after?
I don't know. Maybe I did. I just don't know.
At the end of the day, you're still here, so.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the bad luck.
I try to be woke, and then Ryan's woker. This is fun. This is fun.
Superstitions. Okay. Do we want to go on the next one now?
Sure.
19. Okay. So this is trending on Twitter, courtesy of Brandy. What would you tell your 19-year-old self? So, because me and Terrell are in our early 20s, I don't think it really makes sense for us to go first. I think it would be more fun to hear you and Brandy and Ryan's opinion on this.
Well, I think I'm the oldest one here. Sadly. I don't really know what I would tell my 19-year-old self. I would probably tell myself not to really change anything.
Not to change anything. Do you have any regrets?
No, not really. I think everything that happened in my life made me who I am today.
Boom.
Makes sense.
It's that energy.
What you, Ryan?
Slow down and don't wish it away so quick.
Don't wish it away?
No, because you always spend your life wanting to be at that next stage, that next level, that once I get here, it'll be different, and it's different, but
There's always gonna be something
19
else.
to 25 goes by in what you feel is like so slow. And then once you hit 25, you're like 30. And then you're 33, and it goes by so quick if you don't take the time to actually just really, whatever stage of life you're at, whether you got $5 in your bank account, 500, 5 grand, 5 million, stop looking towards what's next and just enjoy where you're at, because you never get it back.
Yeah, living in the present is so important. But I totally agree that as you get older, the years do feel like they go by a lot faster. And I think it's just because the older you get, the more busy you get. And maybe that is something I would tell myself, slow down, because life is short and it flies right by.
Like the more responsibilities you get, right? Because I
Yeah.
think when you're a kid, you have like no responsibilities, which is why all the time the world is just so slow.
Yeah.
But then as you get in your 20s, because even somebody told, I think it was my barber the other week that told me that. He said that, but when you reach like 25, all of a sudden you wake up and you're 30, right? And then you're kind of like, where the hell did all the time
true.
go?
It's crazy. It really is. I sometimes wake up in the morning and I'm like, I can't believe how old I am. It's nuts.
Okay, you go, Trill.
Well, this was like, what,
What, like
2 years ago?
Terrell,
2
what would
days
you,
ago?
What would you
Days
tell
ago.
your 10-year-old self?
10 years.
Okay.
What was I doing when I was 10 years old?
Okay, yeah, we'll answer 10 years old for us.
I don't know, like, I don't think, nah. What I would tell my 19-year-old self is just to, like, save your damn money, bro. Save your money. And another thing is, like, you don't need to have it all figured out at that exact age right there. Because that's what I was really stressing about from basically right after high school. I thought I had to, like, have everything prepared because everyone else was, like, in school and all that. But no, like, you can figure it out when you're 20, 30, or 40.
Yeah, I think that's similar to what I would tell myself too. Because when I was 19, that was after I left Nate. I didn't finish it because I didn't really feel like doing it, and I kind of put a lot of pressure on myself when I was 19. I was like, okay, I need to figure all my shit out and get it done. But like you said, if you have perspective on it when you're 19, that's kind of like you're still pretty much a baby in terms of everything, right? You don't really know anything. I think when you're 19 too, you think you know a lot, and you kind of have like this big ego of like, oh, I know what it takes to do everything. But then as you kind of get older, and you kind of step out into the real world, get like kicked in the ass and kind of figure out that things aren't as easy as you think, and then you actually step into it and you're like, wow, like I gotta pay bills now, I gotta do this, I gotta do that.
It's like that at every stage.
Yeah.
Every single stage you hit, it gets harder and harder because you juggle more responsibilities with just something like mowing the lawn and taking care of your grass and pulling weeds becomes a weekly chore that absorbs 6 hours of your time.
It's quite a bit.
So
I have a good question, actually. So, since times were different when you guys were 19.
Holy fuck, we're not like 300.
Well, times were really different even like 8 years ago. Because I feel 2012 was when social media kind of just changed.
It is true. It's weird to think that we existed in a time where like this technology,
like
didn't
the coolest
really
thing we had was like Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
And like when the original
Nintendo.
PlayStation came out and there was a CD that had Tomb Raider on it, that was the first game I ever played. It was like mind-blowing graphics. Everyone couldn't get over how real it looked. And
now they just look like blocks just running around.
Yeah, it's just blocks and pixelated.
So what did you guys do when you were 19? Like, what was fun to you guys, or what did you do to pass time or be productive?
When I was 19, I was working at a grocery store. I hadn't even gone back to school yet or anything. It was a completely different life for me. It's actually kind of weird to think about.
Oh.
I did the bars every weekend. That was fun. But
okay.
I worked full-time for TELUS, and then I did a couple part-time jobs. So if I wasn't working, I was at the bar, and if I wasn't at the bar, I was working. So that stage kind of carried until I was 21-ish.
When I was 19, I was working at IGA, which I don't even think is a thing anymore.
No, there's still like half of the store left somewhere.
Is there?
Yeah, there's one in the north side, I think.
And I also was working at the Beverly Crest liquor store.
That's a rough neighborhood.
That's the hood.
Yeah.
I don't even know where that is, honestly.
Beverly
I'm not
Crest,
from
I don't know.
here.
Yeah, it's like 118th, like really far
Oh, that's all you had to say. That number.
I used to walk home by myself at like 3 a.m. from that place. It was scary.
The weird thing about 118th Street is like you'll be like a street or a block away from that place, and it's all like happy, birds are chirping, the sun's out. You make a right turn on 118th, and it's just, I don't even know. I can't even say. It's just different.
You just picture that scene from Training Day with Denzel out there and a bunch of guys with guns.
Pretty much that area. It's
there
just
are
like,
actually like a lot of really nice places like in that area, but yeah, as
turn
soon
that
as you
one.
get to the wrong corner and it's
like, damn.
ghetto,
Like,
yeah.
it's just one turn. Yeah.
I think it's the like the very north of Edmonton. That's when you start seeing like the really, really nice houses. Because I remember I went to a friend's house who was like super north of Edmonton.
but like the newer north of Edmonton.
I think it's like even north of the Henday type of
Yeah.
Edmonton.
No offense to anyone who lives in the north, but the newer north or the north, it's still the north. It's
Ouch.
I live on the north. He knows that too.
But I said no
There's two people in
offense.
this
So.
room. And they're right beside you.
It's actually really not so bad. We've lived on the north end now for like 10 years, and nothing bad has ever happened to us living on the north end other than our mailbox getting broken into.
I don't know, like south side in my area, like
Do you just not go out after dark?
No, I do, because I have a big dog.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't without him.
I don't know. There's different parts in the south side that like stuff happens, but where I'm located, it's like boring sometimes. Like nothing goes down in this area. I don't know.
I think there's a big difference between North and South Edmonton. You can tell by the places you go into.
Even the people.
Yeah, the people. That's the biggest thing. Is if you go into like a pet store in the South Side, you're gonna get like,
Careful.
I don't know, like everyone is just so like,
Careful.
friendly. I know, I gotta be careful what I say. So everyone's so friendly and like grateful, and like just everything is so nice. But when you go on the North Side, I feel like sometimes it's like, you know what I mean? Like the North Side.
Yeah, you're acting like it's Detroit, bro.
It's not Detroit. There's some part like, well, no, because to be honest, the North has a lot of fancy things that the South doesn't have, right? Like restaurants. Like if you think about like good places to eat, North side.
Really? I think the south side has better restaurants.
Or am I just thinking
than the north
downtown?
side.
See, it's
Well,
probably
maybe
the places that
downtown,
you're not
yeah.
aware
But like
of.
north, I find north doesn't have as good of stuff. But the one thing that I do like better about the north side is that it's not nearly as congested, like for traffic and like.
That's because
people.
everyone's dying to get out.
We're gonna piss off people.
Damn.
Now we're good.
Yeah, Brad, you represent the north. Just say we're all
I
good.
represent.
Yeah, just
Didn't you
say
tell
it.
me you guys were really considering moving to the south side?
Yeah, we are talking about going to the south
scratch
side,
that.
but mostly because work is a lot closer.
Nice.
We don't really have a preference for where we move when we move, but I'm just excited to get out of townhouse living.
Well, anything without a safe injection site within a couple of blocks would be a good start.
Oh my god.
Hey, that stuff exists on the south side too.
Next topic, please.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I
these
don't know
are
how we got
high-end
to north
ones.
and south. Edmonton.
See,
Okay.
it's cool.
Next up, let's talk about the new iPhone.
Okay, so Will is ordering the new iPhone.
No.
Will, why do you want the new iPhone?
Because it's marginally better than its predecessor. It's marginally better battery life, marginally better camera, marginally better chip.
Maybe we should talk about the marketing behind Apple and why every single year they release marginally better products and people still go out and buy it.
It's to increase their marginal profitability.
Increase their margin. Well,
just
the-
wait. Just wait.
I don't think it is marginally better, other than it having 3 camera lenses
When our X came
and
out,
a little
this
bit of
phone was
4
insane.
hour longer battery life.
The problem is, no, but it's not even 4 hours or 5 hours. So we're in marketing. We should know this. It's up to, with an asterisk. It's up to 5
Up
additional
to,
hours.
yes.
So that means you're probably going to get up to 45 real minutes of extra talk time.
No, you're probably right.
up to. I don't know. It's just repetitive because remember when the X came out and how hyped we all were to get our new X's.
Well,
And
because
then this
the
new
X,
thing comes and you feel a different way, but it's just that's it.
I
That's
think-
them making it work.
I think the thing with Apple is they're so dependent on upgrading and making people keep buying more and more things, and
Yeah.
you gotta wonder, like,
It's not gonna stop.
they're gonna run out eventually of new things to add to their phone, and then what's gonna
But they
happen?
already have. They've already run out of new
Well, I
things
know
to add to this
exactly,
phone. So
right?
it's just,
Now, it's got 3 lenses. Next year, is it going to be 10 lenses?
They put a whole stove on the freaking phone.
well, I think that's the big thing that they're trying to sell the Pro at least on is the fact that it's got that 3 camera system.
Yeah.
Right, and then I think the low light feature, which I'm pretty sure other companies like the Huawei one, I think, and a lot of the Chinese Android phones they have the low light camera, but
well, I know I often find myself, like I said earlier, walking around my yard at night looking to take really beautiful photographs. So that's a $1,700 feature that I just can't say no to.
See, being a photographer is just like use your camera.
Yeah.
Like it's a camera.
Well, mind you, being a photographer, I still take a lot of photos on my phone, but
Yeah.
that's because my camera is huge and I don't want to carry it everywhere.
That's
with
true,
me.
too. Even if you're like a good photographer, you can make your phone images look
Oh yeah, totally.
popping. So
well, that's what's crazy about it is if you always see every single photo, every single year they show that the new ones you can take on the iPhone. This year it looks really, really, really insane.
but think about in 2 years or even next year. It's gonna be even better than that one.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
It's not going to be much better.
It's just gonna be like
It's just going to be a
slightly-
slightly better improvement than what you already have.
Slightly.
They probably have like 5 years planned, like of just specs.
The next iPhone is going to have up to 5 hours battery life.
Up to 4.5.
4.5 and 4 lenses.
And you can go 4 meters deep in the water with it instead of 2.
No, they're gonna have like 7 lenses on the freaking back.
I'm sure a lot of people just buy it for the sake that they can just show it to people. It's more of just a
A
cosmetic
novelty
thing, right?
item.
Yeah, it's more of just like a look at me, I got the latest iPhone type of
But to be
status
honest,
thing, right?
like the only thing that I really like about the new iPhone is like the green. That green
Oh
is
yeah,
so nice.
the what did they call it? I wrote it
Midnight
down.
green.
The midnight
Midnight
green,
green?
yeah.
Midnight green.
That is really nice.
But when you're spending almost $1,700 plus tax on a phone, you're in like used car territory, as Will
Yeah.
mentioned earlier. You're like, that's
Yeah.
You can get a lot of shit for $1,700 plus GST.
Yeah.
Also, thoughts on that midnight green? As nice as it looks, with a phone that expensive, you're probably going to want a case on
Yeah,
it.
that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
You're gonna cover that green up with a case.
So
And
you're
then-
not even going to see it.
Because I remember choosing the white, like, oh, this is so nice. Like, to this day, it's still nice, but it's like
Kind of gets outdated quick, right?
one hit to the ground, it's done.
Which phone is that?
The X.
Oh, you're still a model. You're 2 models behind now, buddy.
Oh man, I'm still happy with this thing.
I've got the XS, which, other than the marginally insuperior battery life, it's not that bad.
When everyone, well, this was last year, I was still running with the 16 gigabyte. My phone, I had like 2 apps on my phone. It felt like an iPod, man.
I remember when we were out for lunch, I asked you to put your phone away. Not because you were on it, but just because it was bringing down the quality of the table.
No,
So it was an
no,
iPhone.
no.
Trust.
Nah.
On the topic of phones, why don't we switch over to more consumer goods? Like, why don't we talk about cars?
Actually, hang on
Cars.
one sec. I got one last question on this whole phone thing.
Okay.
Do you guys believe that through some murky sense of better profitability, Apple slows down the old phones with new software updates that they know it can't handle to
So you're
make you
forced.
come in and upgrade your phone?
Okay, this is a good topic.
Oh,
I
we
was
hit a hot
just
point for Brandon.
literally,
Here we go.
I was just literally talking about this the other day. I think with one of you guys. I don't update my phone or my computer for that matter anymore because I think that it's gonna wreck my computer.
But you can get the new emojis. Like, come on.
I don't care about emojis. I don't even have an iPhone.
How are
I
you
have a
living without
Samsung.
the latest poop emoji? Really?
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
that's like
your face can become that emoji.
But like, I don't know. I think that those new updates are built to gradually kind of destroy
The previous.
your device so that you have to get a new one.
Q shaking his head
Uh-oh.
on the side.
Oh shoot.
all right,
Q,
come
hop on.
Tag
Hop
in
on,
there,
Q.
champ. Let's go.
Q's here.
Can you give us your
Q
opinion,
is
Q?
our web
We need to hear
developer.
it. Yeah,
I
he's just sitting on the
believe-
side chilling.
We don't have enough
This guy
microphones
knows
yet.
his-
we're not fancy enough yet.
I mean, to some degree, the updates should maybe slow down your phone and stuff, but it's all more for security reasons.
You hear that, guys?
Is it
It's
though?
more for security reasons.
I think it takes up more space too, and then that's kind of just like one of the side effects is all these updates take up more space.
Well, it's just refactoring some of the code within your phone or whatever website operating system. It shouldn't really take more room, which sometimes it does, but it's you usually get it for security reasons.
What happened? Did you hit yourself?
It was just one of those like weird inside burps, and you just make a weird sound. I don't know.
Don't worry,
I don't know if we caught that.
I didn't pick it up, so it's all good.
The thing about the space too is wild because I used to think like what was it 256 or
You can get
two,
half a terabyte.
now it's 512. Where did this come from? Like, why
I
do you
think
need
you're
500?
too young for floppy disks.
Sorry,
Floppy disks.
I am too young because I never used them, but I saw them around. I was like, what the hell are these things, man?
I used a floppy disk on my first computer. It was a Mac. I remember I was.
Were you even born when Toy Story came out?
I
It's just out of
don't
curiosity.
That's so
so.
weird to think about.
1999, right?
Yeah. Kick
No,
it.
you weren't, because Toy Story came out in 1995.
What?
No.
Did it?
Really?
The first Toy Story came
I
out in
know,
like
That's
1995.
Look it up, Randy. We need to know.
That's crazy. Okay, I have a serious
Fact
question.
check me, Brandy.
The fax machines. Why did they make that weird?
1995. He's right.
Weird. I can't even.
It wasn't fax. It was
Or was it
DS dial-up. That's the word for it.
And it's
You
just-
guys don't even know what dial-up is.
honestly,
Dial-up internet.
that's facts.
They've just heard the stories. They've heard the tall tales.
So what does that sound like? Why is it like wilding out like that? Like,
It was a way of transmitting data, so the sound would actually carry. There's a big long explanation for it, but my limited knowledge of how telephone lines work, it would carry and transmit the data.
yeah.
So what would happen is if you picked up a phone in the house while you were on dial-up, it would disconnect your connection. You'd have to wait like another 20 minutes to dial back in.
Wow.
You guys
Yeah.
are even too young for MSN Messenger. I remember that
Oh,
used
no,
to
no,
fill
no,
a
no,
lot
no,
of
no,
my
no,
time.
Don't go there.
No?
Yeah,
Don't go there.
when you
Messenger
had
was-
dial-up
that was
too,
big.
you couldn't talk on the phone.
No.
Man,
If
that's
somebody needed the phone, you'd have to get off the computer to use the phone.
for my generation of MSN Messenger is like, if you can't read the person's username properly, you're doing something right, because you'll have like one text like that's just capitalized, the other's other.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like
be
mine was,
lowercase, uppercase,
ZZZ, uppercase.
and then they'll make
You know what makes me
WI.
sad? They'll never know what ICQ was. Do you remember that?
ICQ,
What's
yeah.
ICQ?
That
That's
was
facts.
like the original like chat.
ICQ.
Yeah.
Were you guys on MySpace?
Yeah,
No, I never did MySpace.
I had GeoCities.
What is
GeoCities.
That is like before MySpace.
'Cause
GeoCities
Brandy's a
was like
badass.
it was like MySpace kind of, but you could completely like design your own website, make it totally your own personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they all looked terrible, obviously. But yeah, that was a thing. GeoCities.
GeoCities. What's another old software? Software that we probably
Blockbuster. Do you guys remember that?
No,
There was a
that's
Blockbuster by my
childhood.
house.
Okay, all right.
Do you know how like gassed I was just to like run out and like throw the rentals back in that little
No.
that little return thing?
You know how chapped I was every time I went? I had like late fees for days. Like literally, like I think the worst one I ever got was like they charged me like $1,600. This is back when like
What?
they wouldn't stop it at some point because they put that into a rule where if you didn't return it within
$1,600?
Late fees.
What
if you
the
didn't return it within like 3 or 4 days or a week, whatever it was, they just charged the copy to your account.
Imagine,
You could have bought so many movies for
imagine
that
like
much money.
paying $1,600 for like Power Rangers. Like,
No, like
your
literally, it
iPhone.
was like video games and like
oh my gosh.
I sucked at returning movies on
Man,
time.
we
Like
had
I
some-
was literally notorious for it. I'd have like, you know how some people have 2 credit cards to pay the other one off? I'd have like 5 separate fake accounts at Blockbuster so that I could just keep cycling to which one didn't have late fees.
That's so funny.
Man, we had to grind just to get a movie. It's like, but that made it more special though.
Friday night,
Yeah,
like
Friday nights.
5 p.m. Blockbuster was lit. Like
Yeah.
everybody was in there, and you had to like fight your way to try to get a returned copy of the newest one that came out. And if not, you got stuck watching some crap that was just left on the shelf.
It's crazy to think about. But it made it so much more special just to watch a movie.
Well, now like your bedroom on your Apple TV, it's like $4, and you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about returning it.
And you can pick whatever movie instantly. But when you pick that
In
movie
high
now-
def.
Exactly.
I remember getting charged for not rewinding the movies.
That
That was a
VHS?
That was a thing on VHS.
I remember those.
They had these little race car machines at the counter, and if you didn't rewind, your "Be Kind, Rewind" was the slogan. So you're supposed to rewind. And my grandfather was like very anal about the whole rewinding process because the heads of the VCR, it wasn't built to rewind the movies. You got to use a separate rewinding machine. It wasn't built for that. And it like literally you put this thing in and you popped it down, and it would do it automatically, and it would pop up and spit the tape out. It was like
That's so nostalgic. We
when I
had
was
something
little,
like
it was
that
like
too when we
huge,
were
right?
kids.
It was
Yeah.
like so cool. I'm like, holy shit, that's like.
'Cause my mom used to like set up the VCRs for me and stuff, and I'm like, why is the whole movie going backwards? Literally.
Oh yeah,
Because you could
recording.
see the whole playback. I'm
Because
like,
every time you
what
stick
the
it
heck?
in, it would be in like the middle of the movie, and you're like,
Yeah.
what's going on? You have to rewind it.
Yeah.
Do you remember
VCRs
like how to
little-
record? So we used to record like movies that were on TV.
Yep.
So what you had to do is as
That
soon as a
was-
commercial would come on, you had to hit pause on the recording so that it would block the commercial out, and then hit record again when it came back on.
That was like our entire movie collection when we were kids. Like my parents recorded everything off the TV, and like some of it even had the commercials in it because they didn't hit
That
stop.
was like music back then too, eh?
But we'd have like the VHS with like 3 movies written on it.
Nice. Just a little trilogy going on.
Yeah.
You guys don't even remember burning CDs, probably either.
Oh no. That
no,
was-
you guys were there for that.
That was like
I burnt my first CD in 1999, and that
Oh.
was like I was a cool ass
But you could do that
kid
in 1999.
because my mom and dad got me a CD burner, and it was a 5 times rateable. Okay, it was like it was fast, like it was quick for those standards.
Was it one of the ones where you could like actually put like the cover on it?
I bought a printer like that a couple years later where you could
Yeah.
put the cover on it.
I think one of my earliest memories with VHS was the Zellers in West Ed. My rest in
Zellers.
peace.
Is Zellers still a thing?
No, Zeller. The last 2 stores in Canada are both gone as of I think it was like 2 days ago.
Man, we're so old.
And Monsters Inc. came out on
Kmart?
VHS, I think.
I think I saw that in
Yeah.
theaters.
Came out on VHS, and then I was like, "Oh, I've never seen this." And then, like the VHS was so cool because all the ones I had at home were black, but the Monsters Inc. one was blue. It was blue, and then I remember watching that. That's probably one of my earliest memories of VHS.
I'm feeling bougie right now because I had that on the DVD, bro.
Had it on the Blu-ray.
Do you remember when like Tinkerbell would pop out? Or that?
Yeah,
Just
behind
go,
the- Music was really different too, right?
Do you remember those like you put in a CD and then have trailers and it's like coming soon to DVD.
DVD.
Yeah.
Coming soon. There's another one, but I can't remember.
There was two. There was Blu-ray, and then there was another. There was a competing HD DVR, I think, or something like that. So if you actually search it, you can find out the name. So Blu-ray competed with, and they were battling for this. And Blu-ray won the battle. I can't remember what the other one was.
HD DVD.
HD DVD. So like they both launched, I think it was in like 1998. And you could buy a Blu-ray player or an HD DVD player for like, it was thousands, man. Like you were a big deal if you had one of these things. And even the movie to buy was like $100 because it was on a disc. And you'd pair it with one of those old Sony Trinitrons, like the Wegas. So you'd have like a 50-inch flat screen, which the glass itself was truly flat. But the TV was about 900 pounds because it was a big, thick... Pull up the Sony Wega. These guys got to see it. It's like
What
it was
is
the
it?
nicest
Oh,
TV at the time.
What is it?
Sony Wega, and I think it was
Trinitron.
Trinitron.
Were these the TVs that were like $6,000 that you'd have to get
These
like
Oh
TVs
my god.
These TVs were so
Oh.
freaking expensive,
I think I don't want to look at it. My grandma, I think, had one of the. No.
but
Oh,
it was
no,
a
no.
flat screen. That was they called
That was
this
big,
flat
yeah.
screen technology because all the old TVs had the bubble,
The
Yeah, it was a
round.
bubble.
and this was the first truly flat screen TV, but like 450 pounds of TV.
I think this is the TV that me and Mike had when we first started dating.
Yes. Do you remember all like this? You could feel the static on the TV.
When you turned it on and
Yeah.
like your hair would just stand up.
You could feel it, and I was like playing with it, and that shock. What I was about to say though, my grandma used to have one of these TVs. It was literally like the back of it was literally like a fort, but the screen was like a panel. I don't know it. You guys seen these before? It's like a weird material, but it was like it's kind of like one of our printing materials, but they were huge though for the time. They were really big. I can't describe it too well, but if you see them though, you definitely know.
My grandmother had a TV that was encased in wood,
Yeah.
and it sat on the floor, and it had speakers built into the
We
side.
had that
and
TV when I was little.
it was like a 10-foot box, but the screen was only like this big, and there was no remote. You had to go turn the dial to like.
Those ones.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, we had one of those TVs when I was little, but it was a big one. Like it wasn't a little screen. It was pretty big.
I'm searching up large classic TVs and it's showing me nothing but scooters. Like, what is this? You got a blue scooter, you got a pink scooter, and a beige one.
Going back to movies, has anybody seen the new It yet?
No, actually.
You haven't seen it yet, right?
Not yet.
Oh, I haven't seen
Is
it
it?
yet either.
Okay.
I was hoping one of you guys wanted
I saw the first one. When the first
tell
one
me
came out,
about it.
oh
Terrell
my
had to
gosh.
leave halfway through.
No, I was enjoying it. It was just after. After I had to drive. I had to drop off.
I put a
love
red
how
balloon
scared
in
you
his
are,
Durango
Terrell.
for him.
I love that about
Okay,
you.
here's the thing. I was living in an apartment. This was in Toronto, right? And I was in an apartment. But you park underground. So to go to your elevator, it's this long hallway. Like, it's long and unfinished. So I'm like, great, Pennywise is coming for me now. So it's just me alone, and it's midnight after seeing it. And it's just, for me, I'm just shook after movies because I think about it a lot, right? So I press the elevator. I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, this thing needs to hurry up. I wait, I think it was like 1 minute. But I just remember seeing the elevator open, hearing nothing, and then 4 guys just start like walking out of it. And I just remember them looking at me, and I literally jumped. Like I was like, I had to take a few steps back and it was pretty bad.
So, speaking of scary stuff, we're actually going to be doing a Haunted Edmonton.
Good for you guys.
Terrell will actually be there filming it.
No.
Yes, Terrell's going to be filming it, and he's very scared.
I'll be FaceTiming you guys.
Don't be a little
So
bitch.
so we're gonna be going to the Walterdale Theater, which is one of the most haunted locations.
What is so fun
here
about
in
that?
Edmonton? I don't know the
gonna be watching
backstory.
the screen.
I'm sure we'll find out when we get there. But apparently it's really haunted, and we are going there with the Edmonton Paranormal Society, and they're going to be doing an investigation. So I'm sure we'll talk about that in one of our next podcasts.
No, let's talk about it now. Because what is so fun about it? Like, a demon could be chilling there, and it could just latch onto one of us.
Yeah.
And then the rest of our life
But-
is just messed up.
But Terrell, it's not going to happen.
No, like, it's the most,
I
one of
think
the
it's-
most.
I think the appeal, because I've asked this to people too, because I've never really understood the appeal until I started getting into it. I think it's just the thrill, right? It's
Yeah,
just,
there is totally a
It's
thrill
just the
to
thrill
it.
factor.
Yeah.
That's what people
But I think that Terrell has watched too many movies, because I don't think that stuff actually happens in real life.
Well, we could get
don't
into
know.
like spooky situations that have happened, right?
I don't know.
We should
Well,
do that
there's
closer to
lots of
Halloween.
spooky
Yeah.
things that have happened. I've had my own like spooky encounters, but I've never in my life been paranoid at any point that anything was going to latch onto me.
No.
And I think that if something like that could happen, it would happen to somebody who was like sick or weak.
Or
I'd
lives
be
on the
weak.
north side.
Nah. I don't know. It's just you're asking just to like, I don't know. Like, I'm at church, at my grandma's church, and like these people are catching the Holy Ghost, and I'm getting scared because they're like reacting to the thing.
Yeah, but you're
Like, am I
not. You're
next?
not. We're not going to be holding like a séance or anything. Like, we're not going to be
I
like
don't know what
holding
that
hands
is.
and invoking the
Oh.
spirit. You know, like it's going to be more the Edmonton.
We're not going to be
Paranormal
doing any
Society.
like
So
demon
there is a
worshiping.
spirit. That's what you're trying
We
to
don't
say.
know. We're going to be finding out if there is or not.
I don't even know. Well, anyways.
Well, anyways, I think that's good enough for the first podcast. So we talked about our nostalgia growing up, or more about what me and Terrell have missed, not being born in the early 21st century. And then talked about Fridays, the 13th, full moon, superstitions, iPhone. I think, what do you guys think of that first episode?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's good.
There's some things we
Yeah.
gotta tighten up, but nah, it's not
Yeah.
hard to just.
Because I
keep
think
things
a big
going.
part of it is we don't want to be too perfectionist about everything.
Yeah,
too.
you don't want to really plan these out. It's just like
Mhm.
you can have topics because one topic could branch into another
Yep.
topic. So
Yeah, and I
That's
think
it,
that's
bro.
kind of representative in our culture too.
I think talking about the north side really dragged down the integrity of the podcast.
That's my
but,
bad.
that's okay.
That was a tough thing to talk about. I was really trying not to trip on my words in there, and I said something.
yeah, they're
What'd you
gonna get
say?
now.
You're good.
I said something about not being nice, I think.
Oh, how you go to a pet store? And
Yeah, I
it's
said something
different?
about a pet
yeah,
store.
Yeah, nah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're messed. You're fucked.
That's
You're
okay.
fucked.
We're good.
Well, it's because at the pet stores in the north side they sell chickens, and
Ah.
those are used for fights in the basement of the neighboring houses.
Yeah.
I'll be safe on the south, hopefully. So, anyways, if you guys made it this far, thank you for listening, and then we will continue this and tighten things up. But as we keep moving on, thank you for listening, and we appreciate all the listeners. And yeah, thank you very much. We'll say
Thank
bye.
you.
See you guys.
See ya.